Where do you see most agents though that struggle with that belief, that mindset, and the belief that they're even worthy of selling a $2 to $5 million property?
You named it. It's the belief, right?
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. The belief is a big part of it. And you can partner that belief with a lack of skill set, right? It's a two-way street. They go together. Like if you have a higher level skill set, you're much more likely to feel confident swinging the bat at brokering bigger deals, right? Once you do that, you're like, ooh, great. Now I got a little more confidence, and like we'll go do it again. And so you have to have both. You have to have both, because the reality is like selling. Everybody thinks that like selling a $5 million property is the same as selling a $500,000 property. Like, okay, the mechanics are basically the same, but the nuance is different. And that's where people, I think there's a gap in the skill set. It's in the nuance. It's not in the time it takes to sell the deal, right? It's not in the mechanics of the contract necessarily. It's how do you approach your clients? How do you approach the problem solving? How is your communication, your vocabulary different? How do you present yourself and your network of opportunities in a different way? And I think that's where there's a gap in knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Which is totally something you can learn. That's the great thing. You can learn those skills. And so that's where I think the creative finance, it allowed us to pick a niche within real estate that we already had some of those skill sets. We were already doing those creative deals. And so we started just providing those creative options to the higher level clients, which is what they wanted to see, right? When you're at an open house and somebody says, hey, we're just not seeing the inventory we want. And you're like, hey, well, great. I can actually go search for an off-market property for you. This is how we do it. It's like we were doing that on the investment side. We were finding off-market properties. We were doing the right type of marketing to generate seller leads in the off-market space. So why can't we just take that skill set and move it over to retail buyers who wanted to buy a $2.5 million property and just couldn't find what they wanted? And so that's where we took that skill set and we partnered it with the mindset of like, okay, how do we bridge that gap for clients and find a niche that we can perform in? So that was the start of it. And that's, I hope that kind of answers your question of like, how do you get your mindset where it needs to be? And the answer is like, well, what skill sets do you have and which ones do you need to layer on in order to have the confidence to go swing the bat in those price points?
Yeah, it is. It is developing in like you said, that additional skill set, but knowing how to approach, like you said, the nuances. What are, other than, language and kind of thought connections, what are some of the other little nuances that you see are really critical as you look to move your price point up in your marketplace? What are some of the things that agents need to start paying attention to and studying?
Market dynamics. That's something that I think we can say most agents don't know the data, right? As well as they could or should, right? Some people are like, yeah, great. Average days on market is this. Okay, great. But what is the average days on market for a specific price band in a specific neighborhood? Because that's different. And that actually matters in the luxury space, where it's like, okay, you can't compare a $2 million property in neighborhood A with a $2 million property in neighborhood B. They're different neighborhoods, and the buyer dynamics, the nuance of those dynamics is different. Like buyers are choosing neighborhood A over neighborhood B for different reasons. Right. So why is that? And like, what is the difference between the $2 million houses in those neighborhoods? And I think it's that level of detail and it's that level of understanding of the data to understand why people are making decisions in certain ways that agents just don't spend enough time on.